Hey, true believers, Chris Mack coming at you with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin, issue 5. And even though this book has been plagued with delays, driving me absolutely batty. I mean, I was able to go through a move, and you know the craziness the world that's been through, and now we're finally getting issue 5. It's just like, phew. But nonetheless, it is worth it. Before we dive into everything, let's talk about who made this book. This is story by Kevin Eastman, Peter Laird, and Tom Waltz. Script is Tom Waltz and Kevin Eastman. Layouts Eastman, pencils and inks Esau and Isaac Escorza. If I got that wrong, feel free to make fun of me. Ben Bishop and Kevin Eastman, color assistants. Samuel Plata doing the colors. And then there's everyone else working on the book. And of course, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was created by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. Now, if you have not been following the reviews or have read this, spoilers are going to abound. So I'd highly recommend either A, going back and checking out the last 4 issues that we've reviewed, or going to your local comic shop and see if they have all the individual issues or a collected trade. I will tell you right now, trying to get a copy of issue 1 is almost seemingly impossible anymore. So with that said, last issue we finally saw the deaths of Splinter and Donatello, and then it follows into how April and Mike are making a plan to utilize Professor Honeycutt to invade Baxter Stockman's island, and how they're able to kind of cut that off, which leads to Hiroto, yeah, that guy, kind of being disabled in that sense, getting the upper hand on him. And of course, the death of Baxter Stockman. Now we're back in the lair, and I just like how instead of going like full-scale assault here, we get a quiet moment. Mike is sitting here, introspective, and then we get the voices of his brothers. You know, I think I was in this room once when Father was still alive. Looks exactly the same. Whatever, Don. How much longer are you just going to sit there, Mikey? Until I'm done. That's how long. Stop talking. And then we get a nice splash page of Mike thinking, and of course his brothers in silhouette, which I like how they always put them in shadow since they're dead, and it's Mike's subconscious essentially talking. But it really captures the Turtles' attitude. So for example, we have Leo, the leader here. He goes, Raph's right. You're wasting time, Mikey. Why haven't you pressed the against Hiroto yet? You guys caught him completely off guard. You've got the advantage. And then Leo said, if I get the Turtles right. Raph said, seriously, that's why you're having second thoughts? Ha! I knew you weren't strong enough to handle this. You never were. And this is referring to what Donnie's saying, well, I know why you're just sitting there in this room. You're the sole survivor. The last of us. That's a heavy burden to bear. Painful, too. And Mike's just not having it anymore. He's like, I know what needs to be done. If I don't help, then the resistance, either most of them are going to die or they're all going to die. And so his brothers keep saying, well, try another full frontal attack, or try this, try that. And Mike finally says, I want you all to stop talking now. And it says, yeah, you'd be lost without us. No, I wouldn't. It's worse now than when you were alive, constantly telling me what to do. And what do I have to show for all your orders and knowledge? This is all that's left. And he throws out all their weapons. Leo, that's low, Mike. We all did our part. Yeah, and it was everything. Stinking ungrateful jerk. I know what you did. I live with it every damn day, and I've had enough. Leave me. Leave now. And never come back. And so he whisks his subconscious, kind of coming to terms, saying, leave me alone. I know what I need to do. And so here, his brothers finally disappear. Mike writes something in his journal and leaves it behind. He knows what he needs to do. And these pages, one thing about these big, giant formats is they're hard to manipulate. That's one thing why I hate reviewing graphic novels the such. Let me get to where I'm going. I'll put a pin in Michelangelo. We're going to go back to Casey Marie. She finds Mikey's journal. She goes, it's Sensei's journal. He wouldn't just leave it out. Something's going on. And so he finds her mom, April, and asks, where's Michelangelo? And she goes, he's left. I needed his help, and he just left. And she's like, and you didn't stop him? He didn't even say goodbye to me. And so she punches a chunk out of the wall. Now, if you remember, I think it was last issue or the one before, April realized that her daughter's a mutant. Being exposed to the turtles and Splinter all these years, her and Casey both were exposed to the mutagen, which altered Casey Marie's. And she goes, Casey, stop it. You're going to hurt yourself. Will I? Will I really, Mom? I know I'm different. I've known for a long time I'm just like them. A mutant. She goes, when were you going to tell me? Because if you remember, April said to Mikey, let's keep this a secret. And April finally comes to terms with it, and she goes, years ago. Never. I don't know. I just didn't want to face it. And then Mikey suddenly showed up again, and now he's out there fighting for us. I like how April kind of breaks for a moment. She goes, us. Look, long before I met the turtles, long before you were born, this war was happening. And they trained their entire lives to end it. It's their family's destiny, Casey, and Mikey needs to finish it his way. The hell with that. You said it, Mom. They're a part of us. And our blood, like family. My family. I really like how this comic focuses on the importance of family. And Casey has it right. Now going back to Mike, if you remember from the first issue, he infiltrates Hiroto's lair, but he gets kicked to the curb and almost dies falling out a window. And so what I like here is how he says, I was able to, with the EMP, take out all the synthetic ninjas, the Sinjas, I think they're what they're calling them. He says, so now I just got to fight his army. And he goes, I was right, there's no mindless robots, no flying mousers, just foot grunts, with a few elite mixed in. He goes, with the synthetic robots handling all the enforcement for decades, those human soldiers have become soft, lost their fighting edge, along with their loyalty. I can see it in their eyes. And I like how there's no watching the battle. We just get these empty corridors. This reminds me of Barry Windsor Smith's Weapon X, where we just kind of get these cold, dark catacombs that are now tombs. And it just adds to the darkness of this whole book. Then the battle mixes up. Mikey has to fight all these different things that Hiroto throws at him until the final battle. And you can just see how callous and evil Hiroto says. He goes, which one are you, by the way? You filthy monsters all look the same to me. Dead or alive. 16 years. It's been 16 years since you killed my family. Has it? My, it's as they say, time flies when you're having fun. Whew. You can just see how nasty and far gone Hiroto has become, just drunk with power. Now Mike says that he's here. Hiroto is saying that the mutants, him and his brothers are just mutant monstrosities. And that it's a fake family. He goes, you're wrong. Our bloodline is shared with the mutagen that runs through our veins. You took my family away from you. And now I'm going to take yours, starting with your mother. And he just goes, I never really liked my mother anyway. And kills Kari just right there. Boom. I kind of wish that she would have had a part in this, which she kind of did in issue 2 when her and Mike had Raphael had an epic fight, and they both kind of almost, well, Mike died, or Raph died from his wounds. She ended up this way. And Hiroko says, I just kept her around in her coffin just to see how I thrive, since she always left me and never cared for me. And Mike later uses this to his advantage because the battle is epic this time. Again, thrown out the window, but the fight the whole way down. And he finds out that this armor, which kind of reminds me, I think it's that Marvel character Darkstar, that's what the layout reminds me of, but the art, as you can see, dynamic, epic. The dialogue, the narrative hits home with what they're talking about between family, revenge, bitterness, etc., so forth. But Mike finds a chink in the chain, as they say in fighting, and he uses it to his advantage to finally get a stab at Hiroto. Now, as they're on the ground level, Hiroto finds a way to kind of injure, almost mortally injuring Mike, which he goes to his element, the sewers. Which I like how the battle starts on this tower, works down to the streets, into the sewer, and then to the outskirts. Now, before we go any further, I've said this before, and Eastman has said it himself, that his biggest influence when he started drawing was Frank Miller. And that's why his comic book was very much drawn in his type of vein. And again, why they wanted to make the mutagen that blinded Matt Murdock the same mutagen that created the Turtles as an homage. Now here, if you remember Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns, when he fights the mutant gang leader, it's almost the same. They splosh out here, and the ending battle is just, you can see the homage here of Mike plowing into this guy the same way Batman did, broken and injured, and still found strength. He goes, I know this is a one-way trip, but I'm not taking it alone. I'm going to bury you here. This mud hole will be your grave. And if you remember what Batman told the mutant leader, he said, this is an operating room. And what did he say? He said, this is and I'm the surgeon, or something like that. It's been a while since I've read it. But just all over, you can just see the influence of Frank Miller as this happens. Now, I don't want to give away the final parts of the battle. But as Mike's broken and bruised, Kyrie is saying, why did you leave? Or Casey Marie Kyrie, sorry. Casey Marie saying, why'd you leave? I'm your family now. And Mike saying, this was my destiny for my family. But I'm your family now. Yes, you, your mom, always. My father's journal, left it for you. Remember when Casey picked it up earlier? Now, throughout the book, when we've seen in Splinter's journal, there's a scrawl that says no peace, N-O, like no peace whatsoever. Mike says this journal will teach you everything you need to know. But the last lesson is mine. Most important of all. No peace. That's a beautiful way for Mike to teach Casey Marie the most important lesson. Now, if you remember, at the end of issue 1 of The Last Ronin, there was a EKG like this, as Mike was getting ready to commit seppuku. And he woke up to see April and saved his life. And we did get a glimpse of the Turtles in this sort of like heaven. But now Mike's not waking up. He's found his own heaven with his brothers and his family that's passed on the other part, to the other side. So Casey in this case. And then there's an epilogue. And I like how they put Casey Marie in yellow, kind of give it the sports look like what Casey Jones would wear, but yellow to homage April's old school jumpsuit that she wore when she worked for Channel 6. And you can see that she's actually getting better at martial arts. As you remember when she first went up against Michelangelo, she had speed and strength, but it was undisciplined, and Mikey called her out on it. And she says, I wish you were still here to see how far I've come. Now, I'm not going to give away how the epilogue ends, but it says, now when it comes to Mikey and the Turtles, when he finds his own heaven, it says the end. But with Casey Marie and the things that her and April are starting to fire up, it says to be continued. Now, I would very much like to see her lead the next generation of Turtle comics. And what do I mean by that? Read this book. Again, I think what really chapped my hide about this comic was the delays. It was almost as painful as Doomsday Clock. But with this one, as where Doomsday Clock kind of fell flat at the end for me, this book, when you read it, there's heart, there's emotion, there's action. And, of course, having one half of the original creators actually bring in their last story to life, you could see the love that was taken with this. So even though there was delays, for me, it was worth it. And if you guys have enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop and pick up a copy or a collected trade. And if you guys have enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you won't mind hitting that Heroes in a Half Shell bell next to subscribe, that way we continue to upload content. You guys will get notified. Come to the channel, and we love talking with you all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments below or our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, thank you so much for stopping by. Hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.